everybody? We're back with Fifth Down Territory. We're discussing our week 1 recap, our week 2 game picks with the spread straight up as well. Going to talk a little bit of anytime touchdown scores, the biggest stud of these upcoming games. Going to do a little bit of overreactions, underreactions for last week as well. Also, we're each going to give our player of the week. And yeah, we're going to get into it because football's back. We're so back. 16 teams you want to know. 16 teams are 0-1. There's still 17 games to go in this season, and we're wicked excited about it. If this past weekend was anything to kind of foreshadow what we're going to be seeing, it's going to be a fantastic year. So we can just start right off the rip. How about we go with our biggest surprises? Nolan, how would you go first?
Yeah, sure. So honestly, my biggest surprise that I had from week 1 definitely had to be Lamar Jackson's supporting cast really failing him. Coming into the season, Derrick Henry going to Baltimore is one of the biggest offseason storylines, and it was supposed to help their offense out. But in the end, it really was pretty easy for Kansas City to plan for him when he's on the sideline for entire drives. So that was really kind of disappointing. I mean, Mark Andrews did a little bit of nothing. And now, granted, Isaiah likely took those touches from him because Andrews is getting double teamed. So there's different schemes for it. But nonetheless, it felt like his supporting cast just wasn't there. And you would think in a game against Kansas City, opening night, banner night, you would want to have your supporting cast there. So that was really my biggest surprise is this Ravens team is probably a lot better than they showed against Kansas City. But it was surprising to see them just not play up to the level that maybe most everybody was expecting.
Bahookie, what was yours, buddy?
So, yeah, mine's kind of comedy, kind of news, kind of real life. Tyreek going full Scotty Scheffler on Sunday. That's pretty much what we saw, right? In layman's terms. So some of the video came out, and after seeing some of the video, I think the police aren't quite as at fault as they are kind of being made out to be. At least the guys initially there. Some of the guys who came in later really kind of like exacerbated the situation for no reason. But Tyreek wouldn't roll his window down, and
that seems like a pretty simple thing to do.
That was really one of the big issues, is that he wouldn't roll his window down for the police officer, and he kept knocking on the window, and he's like cracking. He's like, "Don't knock on my window, brother." And that's not exactly what he said, but you get the idea. And anyways, he went on to catch an 80-yard touchdown. And that was pretty much what won them the game. It was that Travis Etienne fumble into that touchdown, and what a day for him. And then he's got Jalen Waddle coming up and holding his hands behind his back as the celebration.
Wild.
And, yeah, those Miami boys are going to be those Miami boys, aren't they?
And they're going to go 8-9 or 9-8 again, because that team was a fumble on the 1 yard line away from going down 3 scores to Jacksonville. Austin said, "Thank you, Tyler, for your team taking care of business on Sunday." Mm-hmm. Dude, that's my biggest surprise, man. I had the Pats plus 9.5, but
perfect segue. Perfect segue.
Yeah, absolutely perfect, Austin. It's like you're on the show with us. You worked that segue perfectly. Thank you for it. Man, yeah, we got a couple of lucky bounces. It seemed like the Bengals were trying to throw the ball on the ground. There was no energy on either side of the ball for the Bengals, and man, the Pats looked disciplined. They looked determined, and they looked in shape. Is what they looked like. I wouldn't say they're explosive. I wouldn't say they're special, but they played hard.
You can't say they're 1-0.
I can't say they're 1-0, and that's fantastic. Some people had them going 0-17. Never bought into that. Well, I realistically think that this team could be close to 500 or like in the mix come later in the season. maybe not get there because I their offense isn't completely sustainable. It wasn't awesome. It was just it didn't turn the ball over and it didn't really make any mistakes, which is what we were lacking last year. So also the defense, man, you lose Matt or you trade away Matt Judon, you lose Christian Barmore to blood clots, and then you're gonna come out there and play like that against that team. It's definitely promising, and it shows they're going to be aggressive. And I think that fits their personnel better than how Belichick was playing later in his like kind of regime. He wanted to play back. He wanted everything to be in front of you, and he wasn't as aggressive. So yeah, that was my biggest surprise of the weekend. And I mean, hey, I was hype. I like I said, a win's a win, and that's a big win for a team that's trying to rebuild their organization and culture. So
Week one is tough for every team, and if you get out of week 1-0, forget the spread, man. Like that's a big dub.
big
It's
win.
hard. Everyone like it's really hard to game plan for.
Absolutely. Now we can go into our overreactions and underreactions. I'll just start real quick. My biggest overreaction is the Cowboys blowing out the Browns. Like I didn't see anything different. I saw a team that really likes to play super well in the beginning of the season and prove to a lot of people that like, oh, we're back this time. This is our year. Like, the Cowboys, every year is their year until they get into the divisional round and they get blown out by somebody who they shouldn't be getting blown out by.
They're lucky.
Yeah, if they're lucky. I still see a lot of issues with this Cowboys team. I feel like they're playing a Browns team that just disheveled with Deshaun Watson, and just nothing makes sense over there with him as quarterback. Because last year when Flacco took over and they kind of simplified the offense and kind of made everything like rhythm based and just like you read, you throw, and that's it. No scramble, no nothing like that. It worked a lot better for the pieces. David Njoku's out as well. He hurt his ankle. Then my biggest underreaction, I don't feel like anybody's talking about the Colts. Everybody's AFC darling, offseason darling was the Texans this year. Everybody wants them to be like the team to go to the Super Bowl or to beat the Chiefs. And this Indianapolis team hung right with them throughout that whole game. Anthony Richardson threw 19 passes. He completed 9 and he tossed he had 2 touchdowns and then he had 56 yards on 6 carries, I believe, and another rushing touchdown. Like that's not a lot of usage, and I like the coaching staff for the Colts. This is a team that I could possibly see being in the mix. And yeah, I feel like nobody's really talking about it because there was 2 deep balls to Adonai Mitchell. In that game that they just weren't really on the same page, and he was unbelievably wide open. So it's like another 14 points they could have hung on. I think what's a really good defense. So yeah, Bahookie, how about we do your overreactions, underreactions?
Overreactions, underreactions. So these are for me personally here. Overreaction. The Ravens aren't going to have a sustainable offense. This is one of the things I was kind of saying after the first day after seeing them versus the Chiefs, and there's a lot of games left. I didn't really like the play calling and how they did it, but these tight ends are going to figure it out, and I think the Ravens are going to be running some really effective 12 personnel this year, and don't sell all your stock in them yet. So underreactions here. This is the one I'm going to spend a little bit of time on because I'm upset about it. We saw earlier in the comments from Molek, I hope all your bets hit. Well, I just narrowly missed on one of mine last night, and I'm really upset about it.
As you should be.
And it's not directly tied to McCaffrey, but it totally is directly tied to McCaffrey. And Jordan Mason said post game, he knew that he was starting since Friday. But we all found that out about an hour or 2 before kickoff. And I set up a whole parlay and I felt really good about it, taking like the over on McCaffrey's rushing yards. Is one of my easy props to go along, and then he's out, he's canceled. And but the thing is, then I've also got the under. I've also got the under on the completions and the under on Deebo Samuel's receiving yards, and I'm thinking like, well, if McCaffrey's out, you're way more likely to throw it in certain situations, like, and Jordan Mason still got a lot of carries and whatnot, but you're going to tell me that if everything else was equal, McCaffrey wouldn't have had 2 to 5 more carries? You can't tell me that. You can't. And they knew that the whole time. And it's really up.
There are some reports he might miss week 2 now too. I saw that Kyle Shanahan said he has Achilles tendonitis.
They're not surprised. Like,
I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that at
and
all.
I didn't bet the farm on it. It's not like I'm not going to be able to pay my bills because of it, but it's just pretty annoying. Like that they knew that, and then they're reporting it at the end. But whatever.
No, Brett.
Poor
Nobody.
Poor me. But that's my underreaction. Is I just think that that's bad faith that the 49ers were operating in right there.
Yeah, I don't love that at all. When I heard that, I thought it was like a joke, and I watched the clip, and I was like, oh well, he's completely serious. Like, can't you get fined for that? Like, don't you have to? Well, he was on the injury report, I guess, but like
they knew for days, and
That's pretty crazy.
and then they reported it at the 11th hour.
All right,
Yeah.
that's definitely bullshit. I agree with you. Bahookie, how about you give us your stud of the week for week 1?
Well, let me do my overreaction real quick.
Oh, my bad, buddy.
No, you're good. You're good. So
My bad.
overreaction.
Missed it.
I have that the Lions are the favorite in the NFC. I know that's a kind of a weird one, but after what I saw against LA, I wasn't really just convinced that the Lions are quite the just powerhouse that everybody kind of wants them to be right now. I know it's early, it's week 1. Give
It's
them
week
time.
1, yeah.
Give them time. Maybe it'll start to kind of piece together. You're seeing great things. J-Mo had a phenomenal game, which is what they want to see from him. But I wasn't convinced. It felt like kind of an overreaction that they were. I mean, people were acting like they were going to go beat the Rams by a bunch, and they really didn't. It came down to overtime, and they had to get a buzzer beater touchdown to beat them. So, I mean, it just kind of a small overreaction for me. Underreaction wise, I haven't seen a ton on this, but Zach Taylor should be on some kind of hot seat at this point. You laid a turd on the field with a healthy Joe Burrow. I know, Bahookie, you're very, very high on the Bengals having a great season. Now, granted, T. Higgins is out, Jamar Chase was out, so like
Chase played
on it, no, Chase did play. You're right,
but he was definitely not a part of their offseason, really.
I mean, they have a really soft schedule. This team is known for starting slow. They're not playing, they're not. The thing is, they're not playing the Super Bowl for many, many months. Be in September is fool's gold football. Like it's good. It's specifically the divisional games. Like those are the ones that are going to count at the end of the year. But calling teams favorites at this time of year, like.
That's why I felt like it was an overreaction because they were talking about how Detroit should be a Super Bowl level team all year, and again,
I can kind of debate on that Lions take though. I mean, they scored 26 points, but Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown were barely used. Like, if you can score 26 points without your two best offensive players, like. Once you get them in the mix, and I don't know why they weren't, but the game plan just kind of seemed to shift towards like Montgomery, Jamison Williams, and Jahmyr Gibbs. but like they have two extra elite players on that offense. I kind of think that fights against your point. And I think the Rams are a really good team. And like, regardless of the players that they have, Sean McVay is going to get that team ready to go. Anytime you beat the Rams, it's a good win, in my opinion. I don't care like what the score is, how the game went. But
It's
yeah.
a playoff rematch. But one last thing I'll say, and we can move on about being Super Bowl favorite or whatever. You don't have to be the best team in the NFL every week. You just got to be the best team on the field that week.
Yeah. No, I agree. No, I definitely agree with that.
Sure.
Nolan, how about you do your start of the week? Then Bahookie can go.
Yep.
I'll finish it up, and then we'll roll into the game picks.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So my stud of the week kind of goes back to Bahookie's point about Jordan Mason getting the spot start. I actually have him as my stud of the week just because it can be very difficult to be named a starter that close to game time. Even if, even with the 2 days out window that we now know was true, that's still a short amount of time to prep to be the starter and to get the amount of carries and the looks that a starter would get. So he's my stud of the week because he went out there and balled out. I mean, he had 140 something rushing yards and he looked good doing it. San Francisco's front line was blocking for him and allowing him to have the most opportunities to go out there and actually be a good RB1, at least for this week. And now it's kind of looking like maybe even past this week. So to go out there on a spot start and play like that, I think you get a stud of the week for me.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, he
147 was the number.
There you go.
it's always 47, isn't it, Bahookie?
Isn't it? So my stud of the week. Hold on. Can you guys see this?
Put it close to the screen. Close to the screen. Yeah, jumping over people. Hurdles, McGee.
Buda Baker down there. And that
Yeah.
guy, so this guy up here, number 17, that's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. His name is Joshua Patrick Allen. I have not met him. I did get to party with his father in Kansas City. I told you all that story. I'll continue to tell that story. One of the craziest nights of my life. Got to see his dad sing some Billy Joel.
Big win.
Here I was thinking, Josh was the talent of the family, but he's got some talented parents too. But here we are. We're going into week 2. So so I want to start talking about Bills Dolphins, but I'll hold off and let you guys do your studs of the week and come back to it.
Word. I'll do mine real quick and then we'll get right into that game. So my stud of the week is TJ Watt. He's certified sicko. He might be the best player in the NFL. Just on a team that just refuses to score touchdowns. But goddamn,
Yeah.
he was absolute
That's a good way to
wrecking ball.
describe TJ Watt.
Absolute wrecking. He was just ruining Kirk Cousins' day consistently in the backfield the whole game. You're just like, bro, like what? Like Bijan's looking
Did you
at him
imagine
like
scouting that guy like in high school or in college and just being like, that's probably what I would say. Like if I was like at the line of scrimmage, just watching.
I would just put the clipboard down and be like, yeah, we gotta draft this. Like we gotta get this dude.
What do we have? Like we gotta make it happen.
Yeah, problem. Certified sicko. That man.
Game record.
Yeah. All right, now we get into our game picks. That was our week 1 recap. We kind of did like an abridged version of it, but we'll kind of talk about every team going forward in this week 2 game picks here. So like, I'll start first. I got Buffalo +2. My stud of that game is going to be Josh Allen. Bahookie can talk more about Josh Allen because I know he wants to.
Yeah,
my touchdown score,
and then I'll go.
Word. My touchdown score is going to be Khalil Shakir. He scored one in the first game. I think they're going to up his usage a little bit more. He's shifty. He's good at the catch point, yards after catch guy. I can see him kind of sneaking in there. Yeah. So that's I got Buffalo +2. Buffalo, like, I don't care that this game is in Miami. Miami shouldn't be favored in this game. Buffalo is the better team, has been the better team, and showed it in that head-to-head matchup. So. Buffalo all day. Nolan, how would you go for, buddy?
I'm in the same boat as you, Tyler. I got Buffalo to win, Buffalo to cover, Josh Allen to be the touchdown scorer. Again, you very much saw everything this first week against Arizona of how this offense is going to have to operate. Losing some of your big name wide receivers that you have, you're going to have to make do with what you can do. But hey, he did a fantastic
You lost two
job.
receivers last year, but it's fine because you still scored 34 points
Exactly.
with the core you
He
have.
had 2, Josh had 4. I will live with it.
No, yeah, exactly. He did everything
I will
right.
live with it.
He did fine. Yeah, he did great, and that's why he's going to be the stud again. He knows what it takes to beat Miami in their house, and why wouldn't you go with him for your stud? And then touchdown, guaranteed touchdown though. I'm taking Tyreek Hill. I mean, he's guaranteed for at least one or to get close to one.
He is so fast; it's incredible.
Exactly. So
Glad
I
you
mean,
said that, 'cause this is
Tyreek Hill.
all right. I have the floor now. All right. So there's a whole number of things I'm going to say about this. So Tyreek Hill is where I'm going to start with what you said. I like that you said that. Tyreek cheat code has not hurt the Bills yet. That's me knocking on my wood bed frame. And Jalen Waddle has been the one who has hurt us. He's my touchdown scorer. He was the guy who hurt us before they had Tyreek. He was the one guy who was making plays with us and plays against us. And then when they signed Tyreek, that was my first instinct is, wow, Waddle's going to hurt us even worse now. And in Buffalo, he had a crazy long touchdown that I saw. Tyreek, we've so far held in check. So that's why my stud of the game is Roswell Douglas, the cornerback that we traded for. And our cornerbacks last week were not really tested that much because they held up in coverage. They were targeted 3 times combined between Razul and Christian Benford, who's going to have his hands full with Jalen Waddle on the other side. I don't expect it to be only 3 times this week.
Quick point on that. There was 2 plays that Marvin Harrison was running free down the field, and I think your pass rush got to Kyler on those plays, or he might have just
Greg
missed them.
Russo had 3 sacks.
Yeah, he's a problem. He's a problem. He's
Miller is looking like Von Miller again.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, yeah, I'm working backwards here. Okay. So then yeah, I like Buffalo to win and cover here. So there are a couple of things I wanted to say. I wanted to show you guys this picture. It's kind of hard to see. Do you see I'm trying to hold.
I can't see it.
All right. Well, it's the prices of the tickets, and they're starting at $92 right now. And a couple of days ago, they were starting at $150. And Dolphins fans, season ticket holders are selling for like less than $100. And I think there's a really good chance that this is going to be at least a 50-50 crowd for the Bills, if not more. I'm not kidding you. There's a lot of Bills fans down here, and they really, really like their Bills. And Dolphins fans are real fair weather, and I don't know. But
all right. You good on that one?
Are you
going to go to that game? You might. You sound like you might.
Yeah. So yeah, there is a real chance that I might buy a ticket here. I have been negotiating with some of my friends, and I'm off the next 3 days, so I have the technology. There is.
He has the resources.
I would say that there's above a 50% chance that I'm at this game on Thursday night. It's not confirmed yet, but it's not confirmed either.
All right, let's talk about Baltimore, Las Vegas, 1:00 slate. Baltimore coming off a tough loss to the Chiefs. We're kind of all a little bit down on them due to some play calling issues, some personnel discrepancies, and just like Bahookie, how you feeling about this one?
Baltimore and Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Still got to be taking Baltimore here. Like, that was like one of my overreactions is kind of like where everyone's at with Baltimore. Like, let's not bury this team yet. It's September. And Las Vegas is not very good.
Yeah.
And I think this is a team that's got to have had a tough week of practice, and tough weeks of practice at this time of year aren't the worst thing.
Word.
So
Who's your stud of the week and who's your touchdown scorer?
So yeah, I got Isaiah Likely. This is a guy who I have on a few of my dynasty teams, and like I know about how good he is, and somehow I myself keep underestimating him, and I'm done doing that. And he is a bona fide starter in all leagues, in my opinion. I think Mark Andrews needs to regain his status, in my opinion. Like Isaiah Likely, from all accounts, was one of the most dynamic playmakers in their camp all year, all summer rather. So I'm real high on him. And my anytime touchdown scorer is Lamar Jackson. From what we saw, like he's running the ball a lot. I think that taking the over on his rushing yards, I think he's probably good for 70, 80 rushing yards a game, probably the way it looks right now.
Yeah, if he's carrying the ball 16 times a game, yeah. Like if he's out carrying Derrick Henry continuously, there's definitely an issue, but shouldn't be an issue for your bet slips. You should have that on there.
The way he's running the ball, like I think he's one of the most obvious anytime touchdown scorers.
I like it. So I'm gonna take Baltimore. I think Baltimore wins this game by like 30 points, and like this is one of those games where you're like you kind of forget about the Chiefs loss because they beat up on one of these bad teams so bad that you're like, Chiefs or the Ravens are back, they're fine. I don't think we should bury them. I do think that they need to figure out an offense that like works against these better teams that can game plan against Lamar and kind of know how to disrupt his rhythm in the playoffs. But it's Baltimore 9.5. Maybe take an alternate spread up to like 15 if you're feeling good and you like the money, because I do think that they're gonna pound this team. The Chargers had or J.K. Dobbins on the Chargers had like 122 yards last week on the Raiders. Gus Edwards piled on another like 40, 50 yards too. Like Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson are gonna feast on this defense. I have Mark Andrews as my anytime touchdown scorer. I do think he kind of regains that target share a little bit, gets into the end zone, kind of shows people, hey, like I'm still here. We have two really good tight ends, like, and we're gonna run heavy sets, so we're both gonna be on the field. And I think Derrick Henry takes over this game. I really hope that he does. It's just like this is why you have Derrick Henry. Why use Lamar in that fashion against a team like this in a game that you should win when you have Derrick Henry? Like use Derrick Henry, use him. Like keep Lamar safe until later. That's my thought process. Nolan, what do you think?
Sure. I'm in the same boat here. I think this is the way I see it. This is like Alabama getting a tune-up game against some FCS team in week 2 after a tough week 1 matchup.
Way too soon right now, Nolan. Way too soon.
Hey, I mean,
that was a low blow, bro.
You know what, man?
That's the way I see it. Baltimore's gonna win. They're gonna cover. Okay.
They held them to 14 points through 3 quarters.
Hey,
it just fell apart.
14-13 going into the 4th quarter, man.
Okay.
I talked a lot of junk for us to get blown out.
My brain that your guys' bowls were in that game with Alabama. That wasn't the point.
I thought that was a targeted shot.
No.
It landed right where it needed to go, like right into my heart.
That's great that I was able to do that blindly, but that's not where I was going with that. Anyway.
Awful.
FCS blowout type game. Baltimore to cover by a lot. Zay Flowers for my stud. I think he's going to get fed. This Raiders secondary is poo-poo caca, so why wouldn't he get fed? And then anytime touchdown, Derrick Henry. Get him involved. Please, God, if you are Baltimore, get him involved. You know down in the red zone he's going to be a big-time threat. He got a touchdown last week against Kansas City. Why wouldn't he do it again this week?
So one quick point on one last point on the Derrick Henry thing. In the KC game, In the first drive, Henry had 6 carries. They scored a touchdown. The offense was efficient and it looked dangerous. The rest of the game, he got 7 carries. The offense looked bogged down, predictable, and telegraphing their plays. What are you doing? Like, keep the dude on the field. Even if you're not going to use him, people have to respect him. They don't respect Justice Hill. So, oh, Justice Hill's a better pass catcher. Dude, you could throw a screen pass to Derrick Henry. He could catch that. You don't have to run him out on wheel routes. Just hit him in the flat. Get 2 people in front of him. Oh, no. He's moving, and he's 250 pounds of pure train. Like, watch out.
Yep.
Jesus Christ. That nothing annoys me more than that. I'm sorry. Most annoying thing in week 1, Derrick Henry usage. We can move on to the next game. You can start. I'll stop.
Yeah, I'll roll. No, you're good. I'll roll right into it here. So Cleveland and Jacksonville is our next one on the list here. Cleveland is in a bad situation. We've already kind of talked about it. You know, Deshaun Watson had a rough week. Dallas's defense was getting to him every other play, it felt like. But now he's got all this off-field stuff starting to circle back around again. And it's going to get ugly in Cleveland in the quarterback room unless they find some way to void his contract to move on. So that being said,
they get Jameis Winston out there.
They already moved the money. No, like, and no, I was looking at a meme that someone made, but it's not even a meme. It's real life. Like all the picks that are added up. It's up there with the Herschel Walker trade. Like,
no, it's the worst. It's the worst trade in NFL history. Simply because they gave him 250 guaranteed.
Yep.
And that's it.
You give him all those picks, and then you give them the money, and you don't get the Super Bowl, you're cooked. The Rams trade for Matt Stafford, they gave up a ton of great players. Laporta, Gibbs,
that was a win for both teams. Both teams,
exactly. One got the Super Bowl, one got the rebuild.
Those can exist. When the Vikings traded Diggs to the Bills, the Vikings got Jay Jetta. The Bills became a legitimate contender.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just saying this Browns one isn't one of those.
No,
you got boned on you got boned on the trade, boned on the contract, and got boned because you didn't win the Super Bowl. So 3 times. Keep going. Sorry.
No, you're good. It's a good segue. Jacksonville to win, Jacksonville to cover. Trevor Lawrence is the stud. I think he's going to rip apart this Browns secondary. And Travis Etienne, guaranteed touchdown every week. Got to give it to him.
I'm with that. I got Jacksonville to cover. I have zero faith in this Browns organization with Deshaun Watson at the helm. I actually think that Jameis Winston should be in the quarterback. Like, at least with him, you're scoring points. You might turn the ball over, but you have a good defense. With Watson, he is trying to do way too much. He's trying to move around way too much, and the offense is predicated on timing and rhythm. And he just throws all of these things off, and then he gets sacked because he's not as fast as he used to be because he's 4 years older from when he was in his prime. He might still be in his prime, but like it's just not it. It's just not it. My stud of this game is going to be Brian Thomas Jr. We got a little taste of it in the Miami game. That touchdown was gross. Great ball by Trevor Lawrence. I kind of think they have a rapport. But yeah, I think he's the best receiver on this team. And I think that's going to just start to show itself until it can't be denied anymore. Amari Cooper is going to score the touchdown in this game. Had a wicked bad game. He's very streaky, but this could be one of those games because Jacksonville's secondary is just cheese. Straight cheese.
It really is. Yeah, Swiss.
Bahookie, go for it. Swiss specifically.
Because it's full of holes. That's what my dad used to say about the Bills defense when I was growing up. This is Swiss cheese defense. We're full of holes. Anyways, so we're talking about Jacksonville to win, Jacksonville to cover here. My stud of the game. So Travis Etienne, we all know his name. The backup running back, Tank Bigsby, had his most productive game as a pro. It was 12 carries, 73 yards, which was much more effective than Etienne was. And we all know why Jacksonville lost that game. It was that fumble into the end zone that then flipped around and turned into an 80-yard Tyreek touchdown. Tank Bigsby had earned more carries, and Travis Etienne probably had, I'd say, at least 5 carries rescinded from him after that fumble. I mean, I'm a math guy, and like, am I off base saying that? I think at least 5, maybe.
No, he definitely lost out some usage that
When
would
you
have
when you
typically gone.
fumble, it costs you carries, and like when you fumble like that, it costs you at least double. And I'm not saying he's completely cooked. Running backs fumble, but that was about as bad of a fumble as they come. And Tank Bigsby actually had a pretty good game, so I think his stock is up. And my touchdown scorer, Evan Ingram. This guy was pretty much uninvolved in this game, and big body, and like this is a guy that they paid, and I don't think he's gonna be like completely in check like he was last week. I think this guy is one of the premier red zone targets in the NFL. Honestly, like it was.
Funny enough, he actually didn't have many. He had 2 touchdowns last year, but like I think that number is going to go up, and we could see some multi-touchdown games from him. Christian Kirk is good. I kind of think his injury has hurt his overall effectiveness. Gabe Davis is like a wide receiver 3 that might give you a great week, but it's really BTJ, Evan Ingram, and Travis Etienne is this offense, and like I definitely agree with Ingram kind of taking a step forward there. Interesting. Okay, so let's move on to Chargers Carolina. I think we had a Chargers comment from
Chargers Panthers here.
Yeah, you could start, but JC said Herbert overrated. He said what he said. We can get into that. Bahookie, go for it.
Well, that's my stud of the week, Justin Herbert here. I've got the Chargers winning and covering, and I've got Josh Palmer getting into the end zone. These are 2 guys that I think are going to get going here against this absolutely terrible Panthers team that I thought was going to be better.
Bryce Young's really not good,
but yeah, because the Saints looked like a Super Bowl contender. If we want to talk about Week 1 contenders, like they really came out looking like they were all everything. But I feel pretty confident that's way more of an indictment on the Panthers than it is like time to crown the Saints. And I feel pretty good about the Chargers feeling pretty good about themselves after this week is over.
I just want to point out real quick that all 3 of you, meaning you 2 and Louie, took Carolina in that game, and I was the only one that took New Orleans. Feeling pretty good.
All right.
Oh, good job.
Yeah.
Really thoughtful.
I didn't go back and record the results. We got to look at that.
I definitely did.
Josh Palmer for anytime touchdown, a little bit better results for him than getting in a fight and thrown out of the game like last week.
Well, you want to know what? I'm the only one who had Indy plus 2.5, so suck it. But we can move on.
The line for Arizona and Buffalo moved. It went from 5.5 to 6.5.
Well, we're gonna have to use whatever's on the thing. So
5.5 holds.
Yeah. No, 5.5 is
because they won by
what
6.
I use. Yeah, they won by 6. So you're cooked if you had the 5.5, which is what whatever we put on the sheet is what we should use because that's what I'm using when I make the sheet and make my picks. And you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But okay. Chargers, Panthers, Nolan, or Bahookie, you have Chargers to win, Justin Herbert and Josh Palmer.
Yes, sir.
I have Chargers to win, Chargers to cover. Khalil Mack is going to be my stud of the week. He is going to be in Bryce Young's nightmares for weeks to come after he sumo plexes him onto the ground numerous times because Bryce Young does not know what he's doing out there as an NFL quarterback. Actually, I don't know if you guys saw it, but there was a video of him behind center and Miles Sanders had to push him because he was actually lined up under the right guard instead of the center. He had to push him to the left. Bryce Young walked over to the left and was like, ow, now I'm under center. That's not good. And yeah, my touchdown score is going to be Gus Edwards. J.K. Dobbins got in there last time. I feel like this team's going to be on the goal line. Once again, on the goal line, going to use a big body and kind of hammer it in there. One thing I will say about Justin Herbert is I don't think he looks fully comfortable in this John Harbaugh scheme yet, or his Jim Harbaugh scheme yet. It's going to take some adjustment for him because he is a rhythm passer. He's a volume passer. He's not the most efficient quarterback, but I think he can handle it. It's just a matter of like kind of fitting into the system a little bit more as he kind of grows with Harbaugh. But the defense played way better than I expected them to. I know they played the Raiders, but they were all over the place. And then the offense was definitely competent. So I might have been a little bit wrong on the Chargers, and that's fine. Nolan, how about you? What do you think, buddy?
So I have Chargers to win, Chargers to cover. Justin Herbert as stud here. Same. I'm kind of in the same boat of he didn't look comfortable, but why not be able to go out there and look comfortable against the Panthers? I mean, Derek Carr just did it, so
he looked very, very comfortable.
He looked very good. He looked great. So
also in this game, Derek Brown got put on the IR. That's
exactly
probably the Panthers' best player on their roster.
Yep.
Just wrap up the season, guys. Sorry.
Yep. Go ahead.
Sorry.
And Justin, now you got to deal with Justin Herbert. So I have him for my stud. And then I have I actually have J.K. Dobbins being anytime touchdown again. It seems like Gus Edwards and him are going to share touches. I know Gus Edwards led and carries over Dobbins, but maybe Dobbins is going to get more looks in the red zone than we thought. So I'll go J.K. Dobbins there.
Dobbins looked good, man. Dobbins looked really good. If he could stay healthy, like that's not his issue's always been health. It's never been talent.
You want to run it into Dallas and New Orleans, Nolan?
Yeah, let's do it. So speaking of the Derek Carr New Orleans team, they're not going to win this week. I have Dallas to win, Dallas to cover. Dak Prescott for the stud. And reason being is because last week he didn't have to do a ton. And we saw that in many instances last year where Dallas beat the crap out of the Giants, beat the crap out of the Commanders, to where he didn't have to do a whole lot. Everybody else around him did well enough. He could go on cruise control. Well, with this new deal, I don't think he wants to have to do cruise control several times in a season. Not saying that New Orleans would be a cruise control team after how they just looked, but Dak Prescott, I think, wants to go out there and prove, all right, I'm worth the money that you just gave me. Let me go out and ball out versus New Orleans. And then anytime touchdown, CeeDee Lamb. He did not get the touchdown look that he wanted last week, so why not give it to him this week? Another guy that you want to prove is worth every single cent that you gave him.
We're Bahookie. You can go and I'll wrap it up and send it to the next game.
Yeah, I like most of those things that Nolan just said right there. I'm pretty on pace with him with Dallas to win, Dallas to cover. Dak is my stud of the week. Most of the same reasons, and Dak's just not going to be held down again. Like he was an MVP candidate last year for all of the smack that people, that NFL fans around the league talk about him. Dak is a real bona fide proven quarterback, and I think he's going to remind the rest of the NFL just that this week. And I like Jalen Tolbert as my anytime touchdown scorer because I think there's gonna be several here. You can take your pick with these Cowboys receivers. I think that this is going to be a game where Dak gets everyone involved, and I like that young number 3 receiver that no one's heard of up the seam.
Yeah, that honestly, once lines drop for those anytime touchdown scorers, that's going to pay a pretty penny. That's probably going to be like plus 800 plus 1,000, two plus 1,000. I'm taking Dallas to win, but I'm actually going to take the Saints to cover the 6.5. I think Dallas wins this game by like a field goal. Honestly, I don't know why I'm down on the Saints, but
They
it's
played
something
damn
about
good. You
yeah.
can argue for them,
They
right?
put they played a bad team, but they played really
Against the
well.
Panthers, yeah, it
Yeah,
was the
but
Panthers. Yes.
also the Cowboys beat up on this Browns team that I don't think is as good as people thought they were either. And it's kind of that like over inflation of Dallas and just kind of the line just a little too big for me. I'd like Dallas at like 4.5, the 6.5. I'm going to take New Orleans with the points there. Just kind of think it's going to be a little bit of a closer game. In the end, though, my stud of this game is Micah Parsons. He did. I didn't really see him show up a lot last game. I might be wrong, but like I didn't see much of like him dominating. Dexter Lawrence had a good game, or Demarcus Lawrence. Sorry, I get those guys mixed up all the time. But I think this could be like a 3-sack kind of Micah Parsons game where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, we should pay this dude pretty soon before he puts up another 20-sack season. But yeah, and then my touchdown score is either CD Lamb. I added this one late in my brain, not to the sheet, but Luke Schoonmaker. If Jake Ferguson doesn't play, I kind of like him to score a touchdown. Dak really loves his tight ends. He gets them involved often. From Dalton Schultz to Jake Ferguson, Luke Schoonmaker, that just kind of seems like a you're watching Red Zone and Luke Schoonmaker pops up in the red zone. They show that weird little animated thing of him. And you're just like, huh, I wish I had that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking right this second.
Yeah.
On to Detroit, Tampa Bay.
Mm.
Did you have something
No,
else to say?
you go ahead. Go ahead.
So yeah, I have Detroit winning this game. I have Tampa Bay covering the 7. I think that's way too big of a number. I think it should be around 4. I just think Detroit just has a little bit more on both sides of the ball than the Bucks. But the Bucks are going to make this a very, very competitive game, and in the end, I just think Detroit's defense is going to close it out. The Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God, is going to be my stud of the week. Last week was very quiet, only 4 targets. Don't remember the last time that's happened. Don't see that happening again. I'm going to lock him in for like 11 to 13 targets in this game and just being a absolute menace to Tampa Bay. But I'm also going to have Jameson Williams score a touchdown because of broken coverage and him getting behind the defense and using that elite speed. I think the Lions and Ben Johnson have kind of finally figured out how to utilize him the best way. And yeah, I think the money on that's going to be very, very nice. I think that's going to be like around a plus 240. And it's pretty solid for at least the week 1 sample size that we had. If we're going to see that for the rest of the year, that's going to be excellent. Bahookie, why don't you go next?
All right. So I took Tampa Bay to pull off the upset here. I took them to win, and if they're winning, they're therefore covering because they're a 7-point underdog here. Baker Mayfield was the best quarterback in football last week in terms of throwing the football. I mean, Josh Allen was out here hurdling people and just being a certified sicko. But Baker had 4 incompletions on the day and 4 touchdowns. It's hard to play the game of football in the NFL much better than that. They're going to a dome here. The Lions are supposed to have one of the best home field advantages here, and I like the Bucks here, man. And so yeah, so Baker is my player of the week and my stud of the week. I think Baker is gonna continue baking, and he's only preheating the oven. It's at like 325. It's almost at 350.
He woke up feeling very dangerous on Sunday.
He
Let's
woke
put it
up
that way.
dangerous.
But he was throwing against probably the worst secondary in the league. I think the
Well,
Commanders have the worst secondary in the league. I just
great,
wanted a
great,
quick
great little FCS opponent for Alabama, you know.
You guys
Catching
are the
shade.
ones that are salty about it, not me.
I will forever be salty about it. It's okay.
So yes, I'm going with Baker Mayfield, and Rashad White is my touchdown scorer. We can continue moving. I know we
For
gotta
sure.
go.
Yep,
Cool.
I'm
No,
rolling
go for
around
it.
here. I have Detroit to win. Tampa to cover, though. I think this will come down to a field goal. Tampa's going to want some revenge here from playoffs last year. So Tampa to cover. Jahmyr Gibbs for stud. They're going to want to try to get him involved more and more every week. So Gibbs for my stud. David Montgomery, anytime touchdown. It's clear he is the red zone guy. They used him for that entire OT drive. So David Montgomery, anytime touchdown. Rolling into Green Bay, Indianapolis. Indianapolis to win, Indianapolis to cover. Anthony Richardson for stud, Jonathan Taylor for anytime touchdown. Green Bay is going to be without Jordan Love, more than likely. We don't know quite yet. Probably not going to have their starting quarterback. This is Indy's game to win, to go out there and play lights out again and look solid, and follow up with how Tyler's feeling about him last week.
Word, Bahookie, go for it, and I'll roll right into the next game when you're done.
So I've also got Indy to win, Indy to cover. Not too far off base with Jonathan Taylor here. I've got him as my stud of the game. I think he's a good multi-touchdown scorer bet. I decided to go with Michael Pittman as my anytime touchdown scorer because Anthony Richardson's got to throw at least one, and I feel more confident that it's him than A.D. Mitchell at this point.
Word. I'm in the same boat with you guys of Indy win, Indy cover. If Jordan Love was playing, I'd probably be on the other side. Do not trust Malik Willis, even though I like Matt LaFleur and his game planning. I don't know if you can get your team ready for something like that in a week. I think Anthony Richardson is going to be the stud of this game. I think like this team lives and dies by what he does, and I know some people are going to be like, oh, well, it's a super small passing sample size. But it's like, well, he doesn't have to throw many passes when he has a 65 millimeter cannon for an arm, just dropping serious dots everywhere. And he could have had 2 more touchdowns if him and A.D. Mitchell were on the same page, and they were not. I expect like it's a rookie wide receiver type of thing. Like I expect that to kind of grow and him to kind of be in the right place. But like that type of speed, that type of arm power with that coaching staff, give me A.D. Mitchell, and it's probably going to be a juicy number for it to score too. Moving on to the Tennessee Jets game. I have Tennessee to win here. I have Tennessee to cover here. The Jets got abused last night. Granted, it's by one of like the best teams in football, but like this Jets roster was being compared to the Chiefs and the 49ers, and it's like all they need is a quarterback, and it's like, well, Aaron Rodgers was back. He looked okay, kind of slow, not perfect. Yeah, I just like Tennessee definitely should have won that first game. Will Levis made a handful of mistakes that he should never ever make again after doing that on Sunday. And if like their coach actually said, I heard it. If they had just punted every possession on first down, they would have won that game. Like that defense is legit. They didn't give up like Jeffrey Simmons and they added L'Jarius Sneed. They added Quandre Diggs. That cornerback room is at Chidobe Awuzie is still there, correct? Or is he on the Cowboys?
He was with the Cowboys to start his career.
Okay, so then he went to Tennessee, correct? Okay, so like that secondary is very good. I just and then the stud of the game for me is going to be Tony Pollard, who I was pretty down on, but he looked very, very solid against the Bears, who have a pretty good front. And the Jets just let Jordan Mason tromp all over them. So I think that this offensive line for the Titans does the work that they need him to, and Tony Pollard kind of is a workhorse for that game. I do have Breece Hall being the touchdown scorer, though, because like he is the Jets offense. Like they got away from Garrett. Like they were using Garrett Wilson a little bit last night in the beginning of the game, and then got away from it for whatever point, and then Breece Hall was their whole offense. So yeah, honorable mention though to Alan Lazard. Honorable mention to Alan Lazard. Nolan, how about you go next?
Yep, absolutely. I have Jets to win, but I do have Tennessee to cover. I think this will come down to a field goal type game here. Aaron Rodgers is my stud. I think he's going to want to try to bounce back and have something of a good game. And then I have Garrett Wilson as my anytime touchdown, just because they're going to try to feed him. He's their best wide receiver by quite a stretch.
Word. Bahookie, go next, and then you can roll it into the next game. I think it's New York, Washington.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm pretty on point with Nolan here with Jets winning the game, but Tennessee covering the spread. Um, so yeah, my stud of the game is going to be Brees Hall because I bet on him last week to come through and he didn't come through. That means I won't bet on him this week and he will come through because that's how that works. And Garrett Wilson, yeah, you hit. He was another guy. I had the over on his receptions was 5.5. He hit like the first four, like bang, 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 and then he
First
got
drive, really.
and then
Well,
you
I'm
got the
sorry.
last, and then you got the last two with Tyrod Taylor. And I and they would be wise to just maybe do things that work, like throwing Garrett Wilson the ball. So I think he's
You
a
would
good
you
bet.
would think, right?
You would
You would
think so.
think
I
that's
think
what
he's a good bet for
NFL
a
teams should
touchdown.
do.
Going into the Giants and the Washington Commanders. I've got Washington to win and Washington to cover. The Giants were scary bad, which brings me to my stud of the week, Scary Terry.
But bum.
And anytime touchdown score, it's got to be Jaden Daniels, the guy who ran in two of their touchdowns because this offense is still trying to figure out what it is. And one thing they know is Jaden Daniels can pick up first downs and red zone touchdowns. That's one thing that they do know about themselves. And I think that's going to continue to be a safe bet in your parlays is Jaden Daniels anytime touchdown scorer until we see him start chucking bombs.
I like that. Nolan, go next.
Yep. Washington to win. Washington to cover here. Jaden Daniels is the stud. He's going to want to try to have a big game. Had a very quiet one in week one. And then Brian Robinson, anytime touchdown. He's a red zone threat. They're going to continue to use him there.
Word. Yeah, I'm gonna go Washington. Washington. I might have been wrong about my Daniel Jones protection or non-hate of Daniel Jones. Good God, man, that was piss poor. It was awful to watch. I am very high on Malik Neighbors, and my confidence got shaken a little bit. Still very high on the talent, but you might need to throw Drew Lock out there, brother. B-Rob is going to be my player of the week. I don't trust this Giants run defense. I like the way that B-Rob runs the football as well. I just think that's a mismatch for this defense. And you know what? Give me Malik Neighbors an anytime touchdown scorer. He's going to score one, and it might as well be against this piss poor secondary. The Vikings had gotten Stephon Gilmore. I think that really helped their secondary as well last week. He was kind of shading on Neighbors, and that's a tough matchup for your first game as an NFL wide receiver. I'm gonna move into what's it called? Seattle, New England, and then we'll do San Fran, Minnesota, so we can wrap up these 1:00 games, and then we'll get into the 4:00 games and bang this thing out. But Seattle, New England, I have New England winning this game. I have New England covering this game because they're 3.5 point underdogs. I just think if you're going to be able to beat a team like the Bengals, you beat a team like the Seahawks doing similar things, confusing the quarterback at the line of scrimmage, being very, very aggressive on defense, and then protecting the ball and kind of controlling the time of possession, which is all things I think they can do against the Seahawks. Ramondre Stevenson's going to be the stud of the week, another 20 to 25 carries. He looks excellent, healthy, and not super explosive, but he has enough juice to him to make big chunk plays. Maybe not like barn burner touchdowns like other running backs, but he can move the ball. And I have Hunter Henry to be my touchdown scorer. I just think that the tight end is going to be an outlet in this offense. Alex Van Pelt was there last year when David Njoku was heavily used in the red zone and all the time. So when they do want to throw the ball, I think that they're going to look towards the tight end. Nolan, go next.
Yep. Seattle to win, but New England to cover here. I think this could come down to a field goal game. Two teams that are kind of similar with how they operate, time of possession, just controlling a game overall. But Kenneth Walker is going to be my stud. I think he's going to get fed the ball quite a bit here. And then Ramondre Stevenson, I do have as my anytime touchdown. He's a red zone threat. Why wouldn't New England stick with their red zone threat?
Yep, I get that. Bahookie, go for it. And then you could wrap us into San Fran, Minnesota, and then we'll jump to the 4 o'clocks.
Yeah, I'm with Seattle to win here. I'm with Seattle to cover. I think Ken Walker runs and runs and runs and runs. And I think DK Metcalf gets more involved than he was last week. He only had three receptions last week, and I think he's going to find his way into the end zone. And we're going to move right into San Francisco. I'm going to have a hard time picking against my Super Bowl pick this year. I got them to win. I got them to cover. I have Fred Warner as my stud of the week. He showed us in the first 5 minutes of this game who he is. It was
everywhere, all over the field.
One of and that peanut punch, Charles Tillman would be so proud. Now he is a tactician. He is a high IQ player. He is 26 or 27 years old.
Yeah, he's still in his prime. Absolute problem.
And anytime touchdown scorer, the guy who crushed my parlay yesterday, Debo Samuel.
Word. Right. I like that.
I don't want to talk anymore about Debo because he hurt
okay. Nolan, you could talk about Debo because you're up next.
Yeah, for sure. San Francisco to win, San Francisco to cover. This game's going to be ugly. Debo Samuel is my stud. I think they're going to want to try to get his feet back under him for this season and get him active. Jordan Mason or CMC, whoever the starting running back is, I think is going to be the anytime touchdown just because that they like to run the ball quite a bit in the red zone unless it's a bootleg route to George Kittle in the back of the end zone, something like that. But I'll go running backs here for anytime touchdown.
Word. Yeah, I'm taking San Fran to cover the 6 or 6.5, whatever it kind of lands at. Minnesota possibly played the worst team in the NFL, and Sam Darnold looked really good. But you're about to play possibly the best team or the second, a top 3 team in the NFL, and I'm not sure how good Sam Darnold's going to look. Fred Warner is also going to be my my stud of the game because he's just a sicko. He's everywhere all at once. Justin Jefferson's going to be my touchdown scorer because I just think that he's too good, and I'm not a giant fan of the 49ers secondary. I feel like their front 7 does a lot of their good work, and then they kind of protect, and I just don't think that they'll be able to stop Jefferson. Moving into the 4 o'clock slate here, Arizona and Los Angeles Rams. I have the Rams winning, covering, and Cooper Kupp being the stud of the game. He's so back, 14 to 21, 110 yards and a touchdown. That's triple crown winning Cooper Kupp kind of numbers. And if we get that for a full season, he's right back in the mix as an elite wide receiver if he's healthy. Puka's on IR. Yeah, that definitely sucks. But I do think this team still has enough to beat the Cardinals because this is a divisional matchup, and the NFC West is like a circle of life. The Cardinals always beat the 49ers. The 49ers always beat the Seahawks. The Seahawks beat the Rams, and the Rams beat the Cardinals. And it just goes like that. So give me the Rams there. And then Kyler Murray would be my touchdown scorer. He's scrambling a lot. This offensive line isn't fantastic. He likes to run down the end zone as well, especially near the goal line. Could do a read option and just take it himself. Typically it's a good number. So yeah, give me that. Nolan, how about you?
I'm going to go Arizona to win here. Arizona to cover. This is going to be a close game. Your classic NFC West game, like you just said, circle of life type stuff. But I'm going to have Marvin Harrison Jr. as my stud. That dude basically didn't touch the ball, and everybody wondered, is something wrong with him? No, the scheme just didn't work out for it to go his way. I think it could go his way this week. So Marvin Harrison Jr. for stud. James Conner for touchdown. Same situation as like San Fran, other teams where I think running backs in the red zone are their main thing. Same thing goes for Arizona here. James Conner anytime.
Nice. Bahookie, go for it, brother.
I'm pretty close to that. I've got Arizona winning this game. I've got Arizona covering this game. Yeah, we watched Kyler scramble all over the Bills. I don't think he's got any sort of mobility issues right now. And that's when Kyler is really, really dangerous, when he has no injuries in that first half of the season. He really just does some all-world stuff. And then by like week 12, when he starts to be a little bit banged up, this team starts to regress. But we're in the beginning part of this bell curve, and I think Kyler is going to be doing some special things in the coming weeks here, and I've got James Conner punching one in here. I feel like that's a pretty easy bet. So what's our next one on the slate?
Cincy KC.
So I've got Kansas City winning this game. I've got Cincinnati returning to the mean at least and covering the spread. I think that they're going to like have something to prove here, but I think the Chiefs championship pedigree is still going to mean something in this type of game. I think it's going to be a low scoring one. I think it's going to be an ugly game. I think there's probably going to be some interceptions by both quarterbacks. I think this will not be a great game by Mahomes or by Burrow, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe one or both of them cook, but I think this game is about the running backs, and I think that Pacheco is going to churn his way into 100+ yard game here, and I think he's the reason that the Chiefs win this game. And my anytime touchdown scorer, the career plotter, Zach.
He plotted again.
Plotted his way all the way into the end zone. And guess what? He's going to be good for one plot into the end zone again.
Loser.
Book it.
He's a loser.
That bet would have hit last week, and here we are. Continue.
Yep. You're correct. Still a loser. Go for it, Nolan.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go Kansas City to win, Kansas City to cover here. I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum with this here. I don't think it's going to be close at all. I think Kansas City is going to hear a bunch of hype about, oh, Joe Burrow's back. You know, the last time these two teams faced off, Joe Burrow wasn't there, and it was late in the season, and they had to play a backup quarterback. Now Joe Burrow's back, and one of the few people to actually beat Patrick Mahomes in a playoff game is Joe Burrow. So there's going to be some talk about it. I think Kansas City wants to shut him up, so they'll go out there and win big. Patrick Mahomes is my stud. He's going to want to put up an MVP caliber game that we've seen him do before. And then Travis Kelce, anytime touchdown. I think he wants to get on the board really, really badly here. So why not put the big man up there for anytime touchdown?
I'm kind of lockstep with you. I think Kansas City wins this game. I think Kansas City covers this game. 6 is just, I guess it's a little bit of like, short-term biased, but like I don't know if Cincinnati has all their pieces together right now. I don't know if they see that full picture of their roster. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to be the stud of this game, like you as well. This receiving core, man, how can't he? Like, it's so gross. Rashid Rice is going to be the one who scores the touchdown this time. I think they love him in all types of situations, down the field, middle of the field, red zone, goal line, doesn't really matter. I think he's on the field and he has a really good chance to score with this offense. Moving into Pittsburgh, Denver, awful 425 game. This should be a 1:00 slate type of game, but whatever. I think Pittsburgh wins. Pittsburgh covers the 3. They still might not score a touchdown, but it doesn't matter because TJ Watt's going to be all up in Bo Nix's grill. Like, homie might want to go back to Oregon or Auburn after this weekend because that's not going to be fun for him. And then anytime touchdown scorer, I actually I actually like Josh Reynolds. I think he was used a decent amount by Denver last week. I think that Cortland Sutton can't do it all. Troy Franklin was a healthy scratch during that game. They got rid of Tim Patrick or Fireball Jones. If his name was Fireball Jones, they'd still have him, but he's just regular old Tim Patrick. But yeah, I think Josh Reynolds is kind of going to be a pretty good price touchdown scorer. Nolan, what do you think for this Pittsburgh game? And we got 2 more games to go after that.
Yep, Pittsburgh to win, Pittsburgh to cover here. I don't like -3, but that might just be a little bit too true for comfort here. TJ Watt is my stud of the game as well. The guy's crazy good. And then I actually have Justin Fields for my anytime touchdown. I could see little read option in the red zone, kind of break loose, catch Denver sleeping, and Justin Fields kind of gets that first touchdown of the year for the Steelers. So that's what I'm rolling with.
Yeah, I like that. But who can go for it?
Yeah, not too far off here. Pittsburgh to win, Pittsburgh to cover. Yeah, I think this is a grinded out game. Neither of these are the prettiest teams in the NFL. Let's just be honest here. I think Pittsburgh wins this game on the ground in the trenches with Najee Harris. And I'm with you, Nolan, on Justin Fields getting a rushing touchdown here. The reason that he is the quarterback here, I mean, Russell Wilson has a calf strain. If that's what they want to call it? The answer to the question here is Justin Fields is able to pick up first downs, and like in short yardage or on the edge. Like both of these guys are kind of average throwing the ball right now, but Justin Fields can at least compensate for the mediocrity on their offensive line. And I like him to find his way into the end zone and a short yardage opportunity.
It's crazy that they have a bad offensive line. They've spent so much effort and kind of resources to try and fix that. It just doesn't seem to happen.
Broderick Jones really is
not. I mean, yeah, he did not play very well. But yeah, so you can go. We got Houston, Chicago for the 8 o'clock game.
Come on, Sunday Houston, Chicago. Maybe I'm. Well, I guess looking at this, maybe I'm the crazy person, but I have Houston as my AFC representative in the Super Bowl, so I am going to quite confidently take them over Chicago and Caleb Williams, who again this is another guy we're divided on, but anyways, so yeah, I got Houston. My player of the game, Stephon Diggs, former Buffalo Bill, played his ass off last week, and they seem to be making a point to get him involved early and often, and seems to be working. Joe Mixon, my anytime touchdown scorer. I mean, it's hard not to like that guy in the red zone.
I honestly think Joe Mixon's absence on the Bengals is being undersold. Like, that's a workhorse 30 carry guy who's getting you 5 yards a carry. Like, what was the reason? You didn't want to give him a little bump? Yeah, Bengals owners are kind of cheap guys. I understand that, but now look at what you have. You know, it's not that great of a room, and I'm a big Chase Brown guy, so like he wasn't utilized nearly as much as I thought he was.
I mean, they got this other running back
who sucks. Anyway, moving on. Nolan, go for it.
I got Houston.
If he was so great, they would have a better offensive output against the Patriots.
I have Houston to win. I actually have Chicago to cover, though. I think Chicago could actually make this a competitive game. Their defense looked great last week. They were flying around all over the place, making plays. Why couldn't they do that again against a strong Houston team? Make a bit of a statement. And that said, I think Caleb Williams is my stud. He wants to have a bit more of a impact game. Got the yips out in that premiere in his first NFL game. Got the yips out of the way, so why not Caleb in this one? And then Joe Mixon, he's on my fantasy team. That dude got me 50-something points in fantasy, so I'll take him for an anytime touchdown all day long.
Word. Yeah, no, I'm actually with you, Nolan. I have Houston winning this game. I have Chicago covering, though, because their offense, I don't believe, scored a single touchdown, and they still somehow scored 24 points. And I don't think that exactly defense and special teams. And now that's not going to hold up every week, but that does say that their defense is very good. Their special teams is dangerous. If their offense could just give a representative effort, like even remotely looking okay, then they're going to be in this game. And past couple of weeks after watching the preseason game, I was pretty high on Caleb Williams. Obviously, that didn't look too great in week one. I'm not sure if it's going to look 1,000 times better in week two, but if it like he just needs to get a little bit of a roll. This offense just needs to give them something points wise. This defense is good enough to carry a team, which they kind of showed like against Tennessee. I know inferior opponent, but like scoring 24 points and winning a game without scoring on offense is kind of ridiculous to me and shouldn't be overlooked. Then I'll just roll. I'm sorry. Then Daniel Hunter is going to be my stud of the week. I think that he's going to get after it and be the reason why Chicago can't tie this game late. I think he gets Caleb Williams on a sack late. And then Keenan Allen dropped a touchdown ball that was perfectly thrown to him this weekend. I think that they're looking to get Keenan Allen involved early and often, like the Texans are with Stephon Diggs, and it just didn't really happen for them this past weekend. But I feel like he's good if he's on the field healthy. He's good for another 11 to 13 targets, and you're giving Keenan Allen that workload. I feel like he's going to score.
Well, they have to now. They have to a little bit more now with Rome going out. They don't know how long he's going to miss. So, DJ Moore and Keenan Allen are going to want to step up, which, I mean, I'd feel pretty confident if I'm Caleb Williams if my two guys that I know are going to step up for me are my franchise wide receiver and Keenan Allen, who is a perennial 1,000-yard receiver.
Yeah, absolutely. JC with a real quick comment. Caleb Williams got an A on his paper for being a part of the group project and didn't do his part. Love that analogy. It is true. So if he does like even C plus work this weekend, they're going to be in this game. Moving on to Monday Night Football, we have Atlanta going to Philadelphia. Philadelphia is going to smash them. Smash them, I say. By 6.5, they'll cover that. Saquon Barkley's your stud of the game. This dude's going to be a massive problem for the NFL with this offensive line in this system with all these weapons. Saquon's the dude. He's going to do it all and have a CMC type impact this year for fantasy, for the Eagles, and yeah, give me Devonta Smith as well to have a touchdown. I think he didn't get in there last week, and AJ Terrell is going to be covering AJ Brown. So give me Devonta Smith. On that note, real quick, we just hit 1,000 listeners for the show tonight on X. So I'm pretty sure that's a record for us. I'm not sure if all of you are watching live right now, but at least 1,007 people tuned in. 8 people. Sorry, we're adding people as we go. 1,010 people. But yeah, so those I got Philly 6.5, Saquon Barkley, and Devonta Smith. Nolan, how would you go for it, brother?
I'm in the same boat as you. Philly's going to win this game pretty comfortably here. So Philly to win, Philly to cover. I think Jalen Hurts wants to have a bit more of a consistent game this week. Granted, Saquon Barkley made it pretty easy for him to cruise in the back half, but Jalen Hurts for my stud, and then Saquon Barkley again for my anytime touchdown. This guy's going to touch the ball a lot. Like you said, CMC level impact. He's in the right system finally in Philly, and why wouldn't you want to get him an anytime touchdown?
Yeah, Bahookie, go for it. Wrap us up, and I'll throw the outro out, and we'll get out of here.
Yeah, a lot of games to get through pre-bye week, but yeah, I got the Philly special. I like Philly to win, Philly to cover. Where do you want to put Saquon? You want to put him stud of the week? You want to put him touchdown? Take your pick. I got him stud of the week. And then who is it going to put here? We got a lot of studs in this game. I'm going to go Bijan. Someone's got to get a touchdown for Atlanta in theory, and I think there's a good chance that it could be Bijan.
Word. So that is our show, fellas. We did the week 1 recaps, overreactions, underreactions, surprises, stud of the week, where we all picked one from the whole slate, and then we did our game picks. And yeah, thank you for coming in and checking it out. Check out all of our articles at stadiumrant.com. Go subscribe to our YouTube page at Stadium Rant HQ. All of our socials at Stadium Rant HQ as well. Dropping great content, doing contests, giveaways, all the type of articles, videos, shorts, anything you need to watch or listen to. We got it going on. Go follow Nolan at Noble. Go follow at Bahookie Montana on X. Thank you to the 1,036 people who listened tonight. And we are going to be back next week after another full slate of football. And this is the best time of the year. So enjoy it while it lasts.